Sorry for the delay, everyone. It's the joys of the new year. And today we are talking about Google Analytics events and goals, why they matter for your business, how to get the most out of them. And first off, to introduce myself, I am Phelan. I work at Seymour Digital Media with Pip, and we focus on search engine marketing.
And I am Rena Little from Little Works Indie Media, and we run a digital marketing agency in Vancouver.
Awesome. And so, yeah, as I said at the top, we're talking about Google Analytics events and goals. What's kind of the difference between the two of them, and why they matter so much for your business?
Yes, and they do matter.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Which- and I think that the biggest telltale when people that the analytics part hasn't happened. So lots of people are running ads, lots of people are doing organic, but when people can't actually state what the return on their investment is, it usually means that they're either not tracking the analytics or they don't understand the analytics. Or
Yeah,
sometimes on a rare occasion, it doesn't happen so much anymore, but sometimes a service provider is providing useless analytics. So they'll provide how many clicks happened rather than what actually happened on your site. So that's why I think this is a super important um, conversation to have. And Phelan knows way more about the technical stuff than I do. I just know what I need to know from my service providers and the questions that I ask and the three little spots that I look in analytics. That makes me happy.
yeah, it definitely is. Totally agree with the amount of traffic that you get is not going to be how long they're seeing on the page is not as important. I mean, they're good things that lead up to
Yes.
decipher if they're not converting,
Yes.
that you can start to break it apart. But at the end of the day, if you're not getting leads and you're not making sales, what's the point? Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing this for?
So my best example is you you're definitely not going to get any leads if you're not getting any traffic. But just because you pump up that traffic through ads doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get any leads either. It just means that you have traffic. So, and you can actually see every now and again some weird things happen. And you can get like a big splash of bot traffic, like a huge
Yeah,
influx of traffic from some weird spot that you can't, you need someone to help you figure out where it's coming from. Those are bots. And I always think of the first thing that people need to do is filter out the mess. So, first of all, filter out your own IP address and all the IP addresses of your the people that are
client.
working on your
Yeah,
site regularly. Like, take that out, because if you're going on 20 times a day, that's going to affect the numbers. And then you need to get rid of that sort of layer of spam traffic that happens. And I don't know anything about how that works. Phelan, you probably do. But I just know that that's a step that needs to happen. You need to filter out and get a certain segment of the traffic. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah. There's definitely so Google Analytics by default does have a checkbox in the view layer, so like the lowest layer, and it's also where you'll do the IP filtering, and they have one where you check it off, and it's they know of spot traffic that it's pretty well known, and so they can filter a lot of that
Okay.
out. So
Okay. So it's just a tick box. That's handy.
yeah, for a majority of
I
it,
didn't know that.
we had a huge spike last year that was from an
Yeah.
unknown, and we did look into it, and it's one that rarely pops up. It really throws you off because you see this massive spike, and you're like, what's going
Yeah,
on?
totally.
Yeah, and so it didn't do anything, and apparently it was trying to sell us like, oh, we'll protect you even more than the regular
Oh,
filter.
yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, usually they're trying to sell you something.
yeah,
The
exactly.
So when you have big spikes in traffic, when you run ads, ads should be a fairly even amount of traffic because it's based on a daily ad spend. So it should uplift your traffic fairly evenly across the board. When you get spikes, usually those spikes will happen when you maybe launch a new campaign or send an email, for example. That's a good way of getting spikes. Or you do a live talk somewhere,
Yeah.
you give a keynote at at a conference, and then the next few days there'll be a nice big spike of people checking you out.
Yeah.
Those things should happen. Those are normal spikes.
Yeah, and also there is a little tool in there that you can annotate that. So if you did give a talk, if you did launch a
Oh,
campaign, you can leave a little note again at that view layer where you can go,
right,
oh, we had a new website launch, right? So you're launching a new
right,
website, a rebuild. You're expecting to see
right,
traffic differences. That's how you can note it.
right.
Like you said, campaigns like, oh, we launched a new search campaign, or we did a new Facebook ads campaign. You can make big notes about all that stuff, and I know that people spend a lot of time annotating and making sure they keep track. So, because a
Oh,
lot of
that's
stuff,
good.
yeah, a lot of stuff like SEO, right? You're not really gonna be like, it's not one to one. It's like, oh, we did this,
No,
and now the website's going.
yes,
You have to keep
no.
notes of it where you did major changes, and so because of that, you're expecting to see the traffic either rise or fall.
Yes, and that's a really good distinction to make because a lot of people get SEO and SEM mixed up. So
Yeah,
SEM is search engine marketing, it's Google ads, that kind of click ads or whatever. There's a bunch of different kinds of things,
yeah,
YouTube ads that all sort of plays into that field. That's a paid space. SEO really is your organic attention. So that's a slower, you're going to see those results over a course of time, not immediately. That's super important.
yeah,
So, the next thing as a business owner, I'm looking for, other than traffic, is to know the main things that happen. So the goals. Usually, you can organize with your web developer or whoever's doing your marketing to organize your goals for you. And usually, that involves a conversation as to what do I want to track as a business owner. So you might want to track things like, I mean, there's some fun things that you can do with telephone calls.
yeah,
You can track. Uh, um, Contact us forums. You can track any other forums on your site. You can track buttons like
yeah,
people clicking. If you have an e-commerce site, you can track things left in the cart, things started to be purchased, um, things that go all the way to the thank you page, all that stuff. And same with events, event signups, all of that stuff you can track. And those really are the most interesting numbers, but not the only number. So, in order to sort of figure out your marketing plan, you kind of want to have an idea of how many leads you need in order to make a sale. And in order to do that, you've got to start tracking them. So the leads are the things that happen on your site. You're getting names with numbers, some contact information. Those
yeah.
are leads that you can follow up with. And then you want to also be tracking your conversions. And so sometimes those conversions and need to be tracked in your manually in your actual office, or when you pick up that phone and you figure out, okay, I got that phone call on this day, and then this purchase happened after the fact, or whatever happened. So you're going to need to do some of the tracking in your space, but a lot of it can happen on the website also.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways, and there's even tools like Tag Manager, which take away a lot of like the code that other people would
Yeah,
have to write before, and
yeah,
so that's pretty useful as a tool for just if you're a little bit tech savvy, but you're not ready to code Google Analytics events because mostly they're annoying and they suck. And
yeah,
I was not a big fan of learning those, so Tag Manager definitely takes away a lot of that. And it's a nice little like kind of no code solution,
yeah,
and so and then the other one that yeah, so you can track all kinds of stuff. They're really good for that part. Like you said, the figuring out your conversion rate as well. So again, you kind of
yeah,
break it down, and as like a business owner, you want to be looking at the number of people that saw my ad, how many people clicked, that's your click-through rate, and then the number of people that clicked on my ad, how many actually converted, that's your conversion rate. These things are
yeah,
important to kind of keep track of, as they literally make. That's why they call it a funnel, is because you're expecting to see drop off each way, but you want it to be a reasonable rate. Like you're expecting to see two percent to 5% conversion rate is healthy amount. If you're lower than that, that's where you want to see it go up.
yeah,
And so that's definitely ones where you get to see, especially e-commerce. You definitely want to see the each stage. Now that they're on the page, they went to the product page. How many people added to cart from that? How many people? And there's tips and tricks that go for each of these. And there's also really good tools like Microsoft Clarity that'll give you an idea. Oh, they couldn't find the add to cart button. Okay, so they give you like screen recordings. So you can see that people are having a hard time finding the next step, and so that's a good way for you as a business owner to start to see how like normal people interact with your website, and you can.
Yeah.
So all these tools really help you as a business owner get to what's not working on your website.
Yes, yes. And when you say what's not working on your website, it's what's not working in your funnel, and the
Yeah,
website is part of your funnel. And so usually we're thinking of it from a business perspective and from a creative perspective. We think of it from the ad to the sale, but it's actually really interesting to think of it from the sale back to the ad. And in that spot, you need to know how many places of optimization you need to do. So there's first optimizing the ad, and actually I start with the ad set. That's my favorite place to start. I start with the ad set, then I look at creative, and in creative I look at all three aspects: text, headline, and imagery.
yeah,
And then you have to look at where's that ad taking the person to. So does that page make sense? And I think that's what you were talking about with
yeah,
that tool that tells you, okay, well, they got here, but then it really dropped off way too much, than more than what we want. So if the ad is interesting enough, then that means that the thing is interesting enough, like the offer is interesting enough.
yeah,
If we get to the landing page or the web page or whatever it is, and then they drop off and there's like zero sales, usually it means that there's something going on there. There's not quite enough information. The Sometimes the buttons break. That's one
yeah.
thing. Like
Oh yeah,
the buttons break or something happens, and then you get that all optimized, and then you get that organized for conversions. Once you get the conversion rate nice, then all you have to do is scale your ad spend after that.
yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's where you want to get to, is scaling that ad spend. But you don't want to scale the ad spend until you've got your funnel functioning properly. And analytics is really the only way to tell. Even from looking at it, like I really work on Facebook a lot, Facebook campaigns. Facebook will give you a whole lot of information, and that's one place to start looking for analytics on the ads. But you want to be matching those analytics up with what's going on your Google Analytics, also what's going on the web page, because Facebook can only take you so far. It
Yeah.
can't tell you every little thing. Um, so, um, okay, I feel like I've been rambling. So, what
No,
else have you add to that? What are
I was just going to build on that, and one of
yeah,
the important parts that I found that's really annoying when you are driving Facebook ads traffic and then you're analyzing it on Google Analytics is to make
yeah,
sure that you set up your UTM parameter, that you're specifying that those are ads. So you want it to
yes,
be source is Facebook, medium is CPC or PPC, one of those. So you
yes,
identify the paid traffic from the organic traffic, so that you make sure you can tell which is doing which.
yes,
That'll be super helpful for you when you're analyzing it. And there's a little spot in when you're creating the ad in the bottom left hand corner where it says like tracking parameters, and then it will let you
yes,
just add a little bit of text. Super recommend that, because I found that Facebook's just not very good. They're very good at letting you know that they sent you the traffic, but they're not letting you know which is the organic side, which is
yeah.
the ads. And so that's one, when you start to go and dig into the data, that's really important to kind of distinguish those things.
Okay, so I just want to circle back and explain that a little bit more simply, if that's okay, Phelan,
Yeah, sure, sure.
for the newbies in the group, because this is how I think of it.
Yeah.
When you look at your Google Analytics, it's going to tell you where the traffic comes from and where the sales come from if you give your ads information. So what that means is, when Phelan says UTE and CPC, so what you want to do is tell the ad, name the ad in the UTM parameter, which is, you'll find it when you build your Facebook ad, and I believe, Phelan, it's in with the Google ads also.
Yep, yep. You,
So yeah, so when you fill that in, lots of people leave it empty, or they fill it in and they never know where to find it.
yeah.
When you go onto your Google Analytics, what you do is you find that traffic segmented out, and that's the best, my favorite way of thinking of it. So
Mm-hmm.
that ad, not only will you have your campaigns, all of your paid ads segmented out of your organic ad, you're going to get each ad actually segmented out, so you can actually tell which ads, not just which which ad source. So
Yeah.
not just which campaign, but which ad. And that's super useful information to know on the Google Analytics. And if you segment it out, it's so easy to find. And that's what I find. It's just
Yeah.
right listed right there.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also, what I use is a Chrome extension called UTM parameter builder. I'll leave a link
Oh, I
in
don't
the
know that
comment.
one.
Yeah,
Great.
it's just a little. So you just go to any website, like you can go to your own,
Yep.
your clients,
Yep.
whatever, and then you just pop it, and it'll auto populate the page that you're on into this
Oh,
started,
excellent.
and then you could just build it that it's like, oh, the source that I want to have is Facebook, the medium
So it
is.
just walks you through that.
It just has all little steps, and at the bottom you just copy it, and then boom, pop it
Oh,
into.
very good.
Yeah,
Let's put the name of that Chrome extension in the comments for
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, for sure. It's. I found it to be very useful for just a quick little Chrome extension to just build
Yeah.
a quick one, and it also has it down to, like you said, because it UTM parameters will let you do. They'll do source, medium, keyword, content, and a campaign. So
Yeah.
each one of those are different ways that you can distinguish. Like you said, you can break all these parts out,
Yep.
and then Google Analytics will take all those and keep track of it versus like time on page,
Right.
how many conversions. So you can really filter out and build these really complex ones. If you're just getting started, I would probably not go too crazy with
Yeah.
it and keep it fairly tight. But yeah,
Yes.
you have a range of options, and there's also ones that I've seen of people automating it as well. You can
Yes,
like
that's
write
very
cool scripts and all
complicated.
kinds of, so like it's as crazy as you want it to be, but
Yeah.
it's a really powerful tool.
Yeah, that sounds really great. So one of the things that I like to do is I'm actually only running 1 to 3 campaigns at the same time. I never run more than that. Not that you can't, it's just that's the level of ad spend that I have with my clients to
Yeah,
make effective campaigns. So one of the things that I do is I don't bother writing the ad set and all of that stuff in the UTM. I basically just write a very clear description. So the name of the campaign for me is always going to include the type of campaign. So is it a traffic campaign? Is it a conversion campaign? Or is it an engagement campaign? That's the first part because I want to know, I want to match that up with my ad. Those are the types of ads that you get offered up to do in Facebook. And then I skip the ad set because I can go and look that up myself. And I usually only have 2 or 3 ad sets for a client. And then the last part is the most important part. I describe the ad, what it was for, um, like was it a product in particular, and then I also describe the image or something that's going to remind me which ad in particular it was in my head. So I don't say ad 1, ad 2, ad 3, ad 4 like some people recommend. I
yeah,
actually describe because I'm very visual and I remember things better that way. And then I don't have to go keep track of those ad 1, 2, 3, and 4.
yeah,
So that's how I like to do it, just in
yeah.
case
No,
anyone's.
that makes a lot of sense. We do something pretty similar on the Google
Yep.
Ads side. It's because it's text based mostly. It's a lot
Right.
more straightforward of just the what are the keywords that you're targeting in this ad set or ad group. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
very similar concept. I wanted to, because when we were talking about this at the start, one of the big things we had about setting up the goals that's really important, especially with Google Analytics, is the it Google Analytics will help track the number of steps that it took for that person to convert.
Yes,
Uh,
and this is a good segue into the next great
yeah,
stuff.
and so this one is one of the ones that I pretty much spend all my time in. So you can convert any events that you are tracking into a goal. So, not all events are going to become goals because some of them are like, add to cart is better as an event, but as a
Yes,
goal, you want to have the, complete the order or filling out the form. Um,
right.
so you will be able to convert the event itself into a goal, and then once it's a goal, then you can go to the conversions tab in Google Analytics, and then multi-channel funnel, and
Yes,
that we were talking about.
everyone write that down.
Yeah,
Convergence tab, multi-channel funnel, because
yeah,
I found some really neat stuff in there just recently. It's
yeah.
just blown my mind.
Oh yeah,
So, okay, can I go from there? Can
yeah.
I?
Go dive
Okay,
into it.
yay. So what used to happen when I reported with my clients is I would show them the conversions, and the conversions would be good, but they wouldn't always necessarily be impressive compared to the entire online sales
Yeah.
amount of money. So, for example, I am thinking of one client in particular. His conversions, absolute conversions, were 17% of the online sales. Now, he was making $125,000 in online sales. So 17% seemed quite low for Google Ads in his mind. But the thing that I just found recently is this little section called assisted conversions.
Yeah.
And what that does is just like killer, man, because it really actually shows the how ads help in having people make decisions, and that people don't make decisions in linear patterns. So they don't just go from the ad to the website, do the research right then and there, and then make the sale. People rarely do that. They'll do some research here, they'll go to another site, they'll go have coffee, they'll come back 2 weeks later, and then they might think of it again, and then they might go and make that sale. So does that actually count as a direct conversion? No, it doesn't, because they might just type in the website address at that point. So this nifty little, because it's all got the same code and the IP address is,
Yeah.
is in the information, it can show you assisted conversions where Google Ads actually helped make that conversion at some point or many points
Yeah.
within that funnel. So the funnel is no longer this anymore. It's like do 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 do
Yeah.
do do, and then down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
fun,
yeah, it's really useful. They also do time lag. So how many?
right?
What was the distance? So you can see that part as well. So that one was one I found to be also very interesting. If you're, especially if you're doing anything with B2B clients,
Right.
big things that require a lot of time, then you want to
That's
see like
true.
how long is it taking people to convert? How many steps is it taking? Are they, they visiting the page multiple times? Are they visiting different pages? You want to see all these steps that are happening in the journey.
Yeah. But
So, oh, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. What it does also though is it actually gives a way more accurate idea of how effective that ad spend is
Yeah,
in your overall online sales. Even if it doesn't come up as a direct conversion, the assisted conversion is and on I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to look at that assisted conversion on that particular client, but more recently a $30,000 month contained it only had a $5,000 direct conversion, and then it had, I think, about 20 grand or 19 grand or something around that in assisted conversion. So it really showed the value of the ads and how important they were in getting those people into the right space to purchase.
yeah, exactly. And it's definitely one that is, so that's, yeah, building on that, that's the called the attribution, right? Like how do you attribute to who helped the most in it? And
Right.
it's a perennial problem. There's no good, like, this is the one solution. Generally, we go for linear. That's what we do because of what you said, that every little step should kind of count because each one is making its impact. So we prefer linear. Um, Generally, so the story that I like about attribution is one I heard about. Say you are thinking of a place to go to dinner, a new restaurant, and so you ask your coworker, "Oh, do you know any good restaurants?" And then they tell you, and then you look something up on Google, and then you get served a Facebook ad. Which one of those points was it that actually converted you? Kind of
Yeah,
each
it's
one of them played a
yeah,
part. Like one wouldn't have done it without the other, or maybe one could have, but it really, every step in that journey was important for you to make a conversion that I'm going to go to this restaurant.
that's
Um,
right.
and so that's why we kind of think of it as, and people are busy. We have 100,000 things on the go. People need reminders, and that's just the nature of, excuse me, the busy world that we're in.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We don't follow things directly. So why should our analytics, why should our reporting report direct only? So
Yeah,
this is the part that I find the most fun, because instead of sitting there and wondering how my ad spend is doing and why is my conversion rate lower than what I was hoping for, I can now look at the assisted, and then somewhere between that conversion rate and the assisted, sort of get the feeling of what's happening, what's going on, where I can improve, but also that my ad spend is doing something. It's
Yeah.
not just going to Google.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, you'll find weird things in there. Like I found one client that had a lot of social media. They didn't even know that they were getting assisted conversions through social media. So
Right.
that could be, there could be channels that are helping contribute that you're not even thinking about. And so then you can put in some additional effort into those channels.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
One of the parts, just because we're closing up on time here, that I know that you and I wanted to talk about was reporting on these parts, and we haven't
Oh,
found.
yes.
This is the
No.
only issue is that so if you use Data Studio like we do, for some reason they didn't open that up in the connector to Data Studio from Google Analytics, even though Google built both of them,
So
and it's
that
available. I found it in
so
the. Oh,
Yes. So what that means is that you can't pull assisted conversion data into your reporting. And you're saying you're using Data Studio. I use Raven Reports. It's the same thing. So it seems like Google
yeah.
just didn't put an API on the whole thing.
No,
So we
they.
don't know
It's
what's coming.
stupider than that. They did put in the
Really?
API.
They
Just
did not.
Yeah, they did. I found it when I was looking through the documentation that there's an API connection to the
But
multi-channel
I don't
file.
under. So why
Like,
can't we pull that in then? I don't understand.
because they never built it. They just
Oh,
they exposed it as like like basically an API just as like a connector between two sides. They had the
okay,
door
got it.
open on one side, but they didn't
Right.
open the door and connect it on
Interesting.
the
So
other side.
do you think that's going to come soon? I'm sure that must be coming soon. I
I'm
hope
looking.
so because it's so
Yeah,
irritating. I think everybody should get on the horn with Google and put in a product request for that.
yeah. Get on the because I think they do listen on the forums. Was my understanding. So
Is that right?
you could make like
Yes.
product requests on their help forums.
Yeah.
Especially Data Studio would be the one to go to because
Right.
they're the ones building the connectors. Because analytics has already done their part, right? They have it exposed that someone could connect to it. But the problem is the
I
people that
see.
connect to it
Oh,
haven't
because
done it.
Raven Reports made it sound like Google hadn't allowed that to happen anymore. Yet. I mean, not yet, not anymore yet.
I
That they hadn't actually provided an API for that
well,
yet. Maybe
I
Raven Reports
will.
is the same.
I'll send you the link to their API
Yes, I want to send
document.
that back to Raven
Yeah,
support because honestly, don't tell me fiction.
yeah. It's
I want that open. So they probably haven't built it in Raven Reports then, which makes more sense. Um,
yeah. Uh,
okay, so then my question is that for myself, what I've been doing is going in the back end when I create my Raven reports and pull all the other data in. I just simply go down to assisted conversions and I take a screen cap so that I can throw that into the Raven reports. Do you have any better ideas on that, Phelan?
I'm playing around with it now that I know that it's been exposed, and we use Supermetrics, so there might be other people that have
Oh,
built a Google Analytics connector that actually
okay.
pulls in that information. I don't have a
Okay.
definitive answer at this moment, but
Okay.
I definitely want to learn if there is one. The other
That would
option
be
that we
great.
do have, that this is one that came up when I was Googling it originally, was solutions that people had found, which is why I think that the API is actually pretty new, that this connection, as I
That's
think,
what I'm thinking. Because
yeah,
how long have you been looking at assistant conversions in Google Analytics? Because I
a,
literally
a
only
year.
discovered it really. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm late to the party then.
Well, no, it's. I mean, it's definitely it's one of those tabs that you don't know how to use it until you know how to use it. Like it's
Right.
just one of those ones like, what does this even do? And then you actually dig
I
into it.
seriously really wish I had it when I had that client that, oh God, okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I know where to find it, so that's good.
Yeah, that's okay. So I will. The solution that I had found is that other people they export it as a spreadsheet and then have that spreadsheet as the data source for Data Studio. Because you can just
Okay,
make a spreadsheet into a data source, and so
right.
that's one way that people have been using it. There's
Okay.
got to be a better way because that's a lot of manual work for
Yeah,
dealing with
that's
it.
that's why I honestly feel like this
The
screen
screen
cap.
cap,
So I,
yes,
yeah,
it's a
works
good
for me.
short term solution for this
Yeah,
until we find
yeah.
something that's a little bit better. And if I do find something, I will leave a message about it in the group. Um,
Great.
okay, but we are coming up on time, so I just wanted to say it's been a lot of fun talking about this.
It went fast,
Yeah,
hey?
yeah,
Faster than usual, even.
yeah, exactly. It just I just looked up and I was like, oh, geez, we're coming up on a half
So
hour.
what's coming up for next week, Phelan? I just
I
forgot.
believe that is the what is happening in
Oh,
the world
the
of
Thursday.
marketing.
Right on. Okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube or on a Facebook page, you'll find us in the Cyberpunk Marketing Geeks Facebook group.
Yep.
That's where we go live every Thursday. And there was a second part of that. What in the World of Marketing is our news wrap up of the month. We'll
Yep.
be having that next week.
Yep.
So join us in our group. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, definitely. My name is Phelan.
And I'm Rena, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Bye.